三生万物，怪速进化。怪兽科技公司3周年感谢季。怪，因为跳脱常规，敢于把梦做大；速，因为能在未知中顺势而动，勇往直前。3年超过150集深度节目与专家对谈，超过70本商管与人文好书拆解，至今全平台追踪数破32K， 观看数超过4100小时，171天伴你耳边。1生2， 2生3， 3生万物。第3年，让好奇心裂变成无限可能。未来想怪出什么新高度？邀你一起怪速进化。现在就到资讯栏追踪怪兽科技公司 IG 和 YT， 更多彩蛋即将揭晓，和我们一起三生万物，怪速进化。Welcome to Monstech Incorporation. I'm your host Noric. Today is a special episode as we're going to talk about the Pathless Path. We have a special guest today to further discuss this topic. The author of the Pathless Path, Paul Miller. We may sometimes feel lost and we will just go to like emotional mode. We will just think, oh, I'm not so good. I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified to do that. So when people are in that kind of situation, what might be the suggestion to them to help them to solve the problem and to rethink about how can they do?
It's not a problem to be solved. Emotions are part of life.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's really a question of, are we willing to accept the emotions that are arising in our bodies? Or do we want to build our life around trying to avoid them? Right. And so I feel lost and insecure all the time. Right. I still get nervous. I still face rejection. It's hard. Right. But the point of my life is not to avoid those hard things or those uncomfortable feelings, right? And so I actually say, like, if you're feeling lost, you're probably on the right track.
Yeah.
Right? As long as you're not, like, stuck not doing anything, right? If you're feeling lost but moving towards something you're excited about, see, this is the thing. Like, everyone who talks about like blowing up your life and following a different path is typically lying or telling too simple of a story. They're usually saying like, quit your job, like, and double your salary and like have all this success, right? The reality is moving towards success on your own path also can feel like failure at the same time. So you can feel deeply insecure and very excited or very passionate at the same time. Right? And so the difference is, if you're on the default path, everyone assumes you're on a safe path, even if it's not safe. Right? And so all that's happening is people just agree not to talk about it. Right? And so everyone still has all the insecurities, just nobody's talking about it, right? And you just pretend everything's figured out. The only difference is when you're on your own path, everyone's like, aren't you worried? What's your plan? What's your next step? What are you going to do? Aren't you worried about money? As if like they're on a perfectly stable path. But like all of life is uncertain. Right? All of life is always in motion, always moving in cycles, right?
Yeah, I do agree. Because like I think that mostly because I'm Asian and in Asian country we face lots of things like, yeah, I finally achieved this milestone, but actually it is just a milestone and we have to move on to another. So it's kind of a something that will push you to be greater, but is that the thing that we really want? So I think that the emotion plays a very important role. It's just because of that. We sometimes just feel lost and not knowing what we are going to do. But as your book says about a concept called anti-fragile, and it is a thing that fearness is always around you. So you have to embrace it is a thing that I really love in your book. And I also see a point in your book is that a diagram called maybe Ikigai. It is kind of a concept
Yeah, Japanese.
in Japanese, right? Yeah. It tells about you have to find a job that you can make money, you are good at, and what the society needs. But sometimes when people see this graph, they'll think it is kind of a formula. And you say it in your book is kind of like that. So I want to know more about this.
Yeah, I think especially in America, we have a lot of optimism about everything always working out, right? And so I call this wishful thinking. We want our passion to be able to make a lot of money. Like we just hope this happens, right? And so Ikigai is just a Japanese word that means reason for being. It's very simple. It's just a reason for being, right? It could be something like love, right? But this idea got repackaged by this Spanish writer, and then it got repackaged by Americans. And it's like Ikigai is this framework, have these 5 things, and this is the goal of life, right? The problem is it's such a narrow lens of like what actually can be monetized, right? If your passion is taking care of your own kids, you can't make a lot of money doing that. But that's also worth doing, right? And so the interesting parts with any frameworks like this are just the trade-offs, right? You can't, like, you usually can't have it all. It's always people that are obsessed with business and love business and making money that tell you you can have it all, right? What they don't tell you is they're dropping the ball at home or ignoring their family or don't see their kids that much. The reality, I mean, I have a 2-year-old now. Um, I love spending time with her. Spend several hours with her every day. I probably work like 5 or 6 hours during the weekdays, max. And so that means I'm giving up work opportunities to spend more time with my family. And so I think like real Ikigai is that lower or that deeper meaning of like, yes, this combination of activities and the way that's flowing in my life right now works. But I just don't think like, and a lot of these terms, a lot of these frameworks from the US get like even overly simplified when they're applied in like places like Taiwan. People will be like, oh, yes, I need to do, or people in Taiwan will be like, I need to do my Ikigai. And it's like, you've already lost the context that like Americans are like so optimistic about everything. They just think everything's going to work out. Right. And so I think I'm just a little more pragmatic when I think about these things.
Okay. Because actually it is not a concept that is I've heard that concept before. And every time I try to fit in to like kind of formula, I will think that, oh, am I gonna do this? Or is there anything I just cannot like knowing what I'm going to do through that kind of formula. So I think, yeah,
Me neither. Same.
not that easy. And also a diagram in maybe in management
Yeah.
class we talked before is a circle code B to have. You must find what kind of person are you. Then you have to think about other things like what kind of work you want to do. But actually, I think that the most hardest part is that because knowing what you are takes lots of time and it's a lifelong work. So I think that kind of formula sometimes may not be so workable, especially when we are just a junior.
It's the journey. Um, I liked some of the stuff I did in the corporate world and consulting early in my life. But writing was always something I was doing. I didn't realize writing was something that I could make a bigger part of my life until I was 33 years old. And so that took a really long time, right? And so even until I published my book, I didn't realize, oh, a book is something I could do. But even still, like, I don't quite know what will unfold work-wise for me over the next 10, 20 years. It's just having faith that, okay, I've figured it out enough at this point, I'll figure it out again in the future. And so there are a lot of people, it's very easy to follow. Like, I'm sort of a weird case in that, like, I have made good money on my own, but it's also been up and down. I've never, like, my path has never looked like this. There are some like influencers that just make more and more and more every year. And in some ways, they become unrelatable because like their economic problems are permanently solved. But I'm constantly having to grapple with like, okay, my preference is to like write. I want to write books, but books take several years to work on and some don't succeed as well. My second book hasn't succeeded as much as the first one. But I want to keep doing this. As long as I have some savings, I'm going to keep doing it. But I have no plan. I don't know what I'll be doing 5 years from now. I have no plan. But I have trust and experience that I've figured things out in the past.
Yeah, I think that uncertainty is actually what the pathless path also means, because you are always in an uncertainty way. So it kind of a road that you have to just to try and try and try. And one of the thing I read in the book is a concept that I haven't think about to combine it before is the Lao Tzu's philosophy called non-doing, 无为. Because I found I'm also very interested in maybe in Eastern philosophy of Lao Tzu. And I was just wondering, why will you read this kind of idea? And how can you find the relationship that Lao Tzu's 无为 also means a connection and deep connection? And especially it is very important when we are stepping on the pathless path.
Most of the world is organized around doing more, right? So when we have problems, our impulse is to do something about it. But no one ever considers, what if I do less, right? So what if I literally don't try to solve it for 2 months, right? And so that's sort of what I did. About a year after I quit my job, I had saved up some cash again and said, well, I don't really like what I'm doing and I don't know how to find work I want to do. What if I just do less? And so I sort of committed to a year of wandering and exploration where I didn't try to go find work. I let opportunities emerge. Now, it doesn't mean doing nothing. It means getting more in touch with what what you're called to do. So in this conversation, how much effort are you putting in to keep going with the conversation? Is it like a grind or work or a struggle?
No.
Right. It's a form of non-doing, right? Walking doesn't take much more effort than is required, right? And so non-doing is this state of just being in the flow of like what's needed and what's required. But for the most part, we know what's needed and what's required, right? And there are things you do need to go out and do, right? If your goals are big, you need to go and push and go hard. But if you're trying to just get more in touch with what you're actually motivated to do, what you're actually drawn to do, that doesn't take tons of effort. That doesn't take this grind, this doing, this maniacal, like frenzied mode. And so when I lived in Taiwan, when I moved there, it was sort of this practice of just disconnecting from this manager in my head that's like, do more, do more, do more, do more, go make money, go make money, go make money. And so I really just committed to a practice of like noticing that voice and just saying, okay, I'm going to do less and just see what emerges, right? And so for the most part, nothing emerged except like my interest in writing. I noticed, oh, I'm writing more. I like this. This is fun. I'm just going to keep doing this and see where it goes. But there was no goal. There was no, I need to get published. I need to write a book. It was just, oh, I'm just going to wake up and see what happens. Oh, I'm writing again. That's great. Let's just keep going with that.
Yeah, it kind of like a meta skill you mentioned before, because like writing or thinking or to input output your idea or what you thought is a thing that people, especially when we are just finding something that is very new or very insightful, then we will try to like writing something. And it is kind of a meta skill that people nowadays we may do. It is in the self, but actually, I think that on the other hand, with the rapid changing of the AI can write lots of things nowadays. So people, why not just think that writing is a thing that we will want to write it ourselves? But if we just use AI, lack of our personal like experiences, then we will become a person that we don't know what we are doing, just to copying and just to write down what AI say.
Yeah, I think AI is definitely going to change how we relate to a lot of things. But I think the desire for sort of this connection to what we're doing or ability to contribute in the world is going to remain. So the things we do will change. Maybe I'll lose interest in writing. I don't know. I don't have the identity of like, oh, I need to be a writer for the rest of my life. I'm not a big W writer, like the identity. I write. I'm not an author. I'm just somebody that has a couple books, right? So there's a humility I try to take in like my stance toward everything I'm doing.
So I'm not quite sure about that either, because when AI published, I was quite a time to think about whether I should write by myself or I can just use AI to write lots of things. And that is really kind of a annoying thing that I recently face now these days, because I also find that if those words are lack of our experiences, it might not just be so good for us to reflect ourselves or just to think about, is there anything that I can do with this, or is there anything that I'm just gonna to copying what other people say and there's nothing that is related to me. So despite writing or not, I also find it a way, writing for me is a way to to reflect or to express what I'm thinking for now. And that is a thing that I want to move on to the next question that is related, just called meta skills. Because like writing and, as you say, like finding your curiosity and flexibility or the willingness to learn is also very important. Or I think that people nowadays, especially when they are on the default path and they are very exhausted and they feel like they are just burnt out, how can they find their curiosity or those, you say, meta skills?
I don't think you can when you're burnt out. I think when you're burnt out, you need to focus on not being burnt out first. I think being burnt out is sort of a tightness, a clenching of like holding on to the world too hard, right? It's like you've hold on too hard and like it sort of like broke you a bit. So you need to like release, right? Physically too. Like you need space from whatever's making you burnt out. You need to try new things. You need to move your body. You need to try things like that. But I think it's actually very hard to like find forward motion when you are feeling stuck or burnt out.
Yeah. And people might also do something I think is quite famous previously, called like quiet quitting, like kind of thing. So if you are in that kind of situation, I think it is really hard for you just to find out these meta skills. But for people who are just maybe they take some rest or go traveling, how can they get back these meta skills in your perspective?
It's all about trying new things, right? Meet somebody new, travel to a different country, take a different route home, go try a random activity in the middle of the afternoon, take a long walk, right? Go to a different part of the city where you live, go outdoors, um, try writing, try new hobbies, right? And so most things won't work, most things won't take off, most things you won't remain interested in, but you just keep trying stuff. I think this certain amount of hunger of like, I don't want to be dissatisfied, I'm going to get myself out of this is vital. And so, yeah, it's literally just trying new things.
Mm. Actually, I think one of the most important part is to enjoy what and to explore what you really want to, and to find a lifestyle that you really enjoy. It's very important to find out that what kind of road that you are going to take and what kind of thing that you will discover. Especially new things will like to make you feel that it is something new. So you'll have something new to do. And for the last question of the day, I was just very curious about because our show is actually connects technology, business, and career. Because we now live in an uncertainty world, I think that these things are very important to help us to get to know about the world. And also, we have to look back to our inner self to find out what kind of person who we want to be. So I think that for people who listen to this podcast, I was just wondering what will be some suggestion to them if they feel that they are just getting lost or they are not getting lost. They are just feel like, yeah, I know that uncertainty is very important.
Yeah, I don't think you should seek out uncertainty, but I think life is uncertain, right? And so it's very easy to convince ourselves that things are crazier than ever now. But all you need to do is go back through history, and it's very clear like our ancestors had a lot more difficulty, right? My grandfather was forced out of school when he was 10 to work on the farm, right? Many people in Taiwan have similar circumstances, similar experiences with previous generations. They faced a lot more uncertainty than us, right? And so helpful like zooming out and saying like, okay, there are a lot of opportunities in today's world. On the other side of that uncertainty, it's only uncertain because of like the information we're consuming or people think it's uncertain, right? Um, but it's always been the case. Uncertainty has just been part of life forever. We have no idea what will happen a year from now. No one knows. We can guess, but we don't know. We don't know what our lives will look like, right? And so for me, by aiming at safe paths, I felt more constrained. I felt frustrated. I felt like I needed to escape, like get out. And the weird thing is on this current path, I feel more stable. I feel uncertain, like I don't know what's coming, but I feel more stable because I have confidence I can continue showing up as myself, right? I can show up with curiosity, energized, excited for life. Um, and those are the most important things to me. Like when I think about the future, it's like I want my daughter to see this person that's excited, energized, cares about the world. I couldn't have done that on my former path. I would have had a lot more money, but I would have had less time to spend with my family and I would have been more cynical. Right. And so, yeah, it's leaning into that frontier. If the kind of people that like my book, they know they're different. They must find a different way. Right. And it is that lifelong journey. I'd say one of the most important things, too, tying into the last question of trying the different things is find one or two other people where they're not going to laugh at you of trying new things. They're going to be like, hell yeah, I'm excited for you. Because too many people get triggered by other people taking weird paths. Oh, why are you doing that? Can't you just be normal like us? This happens in every culture, not just Asian cultures. It happens in the US too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, find those people, find the others, find the weirdos. There's many people in Taiwan taking weird and different paths now. And it's a great time to do that because like it, people in your generation in Taiwan speak perfect English, are really smart, and the global economy needs lots of people who are smart and speak English. It's like a great time to be alive.
Actually, I think that like you say, to find 1 or 2 friends or buddies that will help you to discover what you really want to go or what you can try is also very important, especially we don't want to be abnormal. We just want to find out a way that we really want. But when we are just trying these different things, we may feel that fearness is everywhere. But also we have to figure out that, yeah, the world is full of uncertainty. So that's why we have to to change and to get to know new things and to get to know what we are going to do and to find our inner self, or maybe just the calling of us that will drive us to move on and to find out what is the true calling of your life. And that's it for today. And I'm very happy that Paul Miller joined us today to talk about the Pathless Path. And that's it for today. And let's say goodbye to all of our friends who listen to our podcast. And let's say goodbye. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
这集就这样结束了，还听不过瘾吗？别忘了订阅、分享你听完的心得，还有推荐这档节目，追踪怪兽科技公司的 IG 粉专，上面还有重点短片，赶快到怪兽科技公司 Vocus 沙龙解锁付费文章。还有，订阅免费的怪兽双周快报，每2周1则科技时事和2本思考书斋。社会变得再快，你还是可以拥有超强适应力，成为大神兽。